Welcome to
Deep dive into Asahi.
Asahi.
It's a Finnish health exercise system that might just change how you think about moving.
Okay.
We're diving into Timo Klimala's book on the subject.
Yeah.
He's a leading Finnish expert.
Right.
It's not just a how-to guide.
Right.
He really digs into the philosophy and the roots of Asahi.
It's fascinating how Asahi contrasts with our usual go exercise routines here in the West.
Yeah.
It's all about slow, deliberate movements, mindfulness, and silence.
Silence.
Yeah.
That's definitely different.
Yeah.
So tell me, what's the big idea behind Asahi? What's it all about?
Imagine moving like water, fluid,
Yeah.
gentle, and totally in tune with your body.
Hmm.
It's about cultivating awareness, not just pushing your limits.
Okay.
Asahi's about more than just the physical.
Yeah.
Klimala talks about how our understanding of health itself has shifted over time.
So it's gone beyond just not being sick.
Exactly.
Okay.
We've moved from the absence of disease to a broader idea of well-being. Now, with practices like Asahi, we're focusing on actively cultivating health, fostering it from within.
And are people actually seeing benefits from this approach?
Early studies are showing promising results.
Okay.
People report feeling more grounded, balanced, and energized. But it goes deeper than that.
Okay.
Asahi draws wisdom from some really diverse sources.
Okay.
Chinese health exercises, Western medicine, body awareness practices.
It's like it bridges this gap between ancient wisdom and modern science.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A great example is this concept of the body's midline,
Okay.
something that Eastern practices have known about for centuries.
Right.
Western research is only now catching up.
Okay.
Asahi brings that ancient understanding to the forefront.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
Break down this midline concept for me. How does Asahi use it?
Picture an imaginary line running from the top of your head down through your center to your feet.
Okay.
This is your midline.
Right.
And Asahi emphasizes aligning with it in stillness and movement. Klimala gives a fascinating example of Zambian women who carry heavy loads on their heads.
I've heard about that.
Yeah,
Their strength and balance are amazing.
it's because they've intuitively mastered aligning with their midline. They're not relying on brute strength,
Right.
but working in harmony with their skeletal structure. Asahi helps us develop that same structural power.
So by aligning with this midline, we can actually move with more strength and ease.
Precisely.
Okay.
It's like tapping into your body's natural architecture
Mhm.
to create a more effortless, balanced way of moving.
This whole concept of inner strength is really interesting.
Yeah.
It seems like Asahi is about cultivating a different kind of power,
Right.
not the kind we usually associate with exercise.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
about strength that comes from within, from aligning with your body's natural design and moving with intention.
Right.
And it's not just physical.
Okay.
Asahi is a true mind-body practice.
What are some of the mental benefits people experience?
As you cultivate greater body awareness,
Okay.
your mind tends to quiet down and become less reactive, both physically and mentally.
Okay.
Many people report feeling more grounded and centered in their everyday lives.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
It seemed like the benefits extend far beyond the exercise mat.
exactly.
Okay.
It's about bringing more awareness to how you move, breathe, and experience your body in the world.
Okay, so we've got this fascinating foundation, the midline, inner strength, the mind-body connection.
Right.
But how does it actually work in practice?
Well,
What do the Asahi movements look like?
Klimala breaks down a series of movements,
Okay.
each designed to promote fluidity, flexibility, and balance. One of the core principles he describes is the three bows model.
3 bows.
Yeah.
That sounds intriguing.
It's
I'm picturing archery or something.
not quite, but the image of a bow is key here.
Okay.
Imagine your legs, your spine, and your arms as 3 interconnected bows.
Okay.
Each movement involves these bows either opening, expanding,
Okay.
or closing,
Okay.
contracting.
Mm.
It's like a dance between expansion and contraction,
Right.
creating this dynamic flow throughout your body.
I can see how that would promote flexibility and mobility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it goes deeper than that.
Okay.
Klimala likens this 3 bows movement to the rhythmic flow of ocean waves.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's about finding that same fluid, wave-like quality in your movements.
Right.
It's not about force or strain.
Precisely.
Okay.
And this brings us to another fundamental principle of Asahi, the power of slowness.
Slowness.
Yeah.
Most workouts are all about pushing yourself harder and faster.
That's where Asahi diverges from the norm.
Okay.
Slowing down allows your mind To truly guide your movements with precision,
Hmm.
it helps you refine your proprioception.
Proprioception.
Yeah, that's your internal sense of where your body is in space.
So it's not just about moving slowly.
No,
It's about being present and aware throughout the movement.
exactly. It's about bringing your full attention to each sensation,
Right.
each subtle shift in your body.
This is making me think about how much we rush through our daily activities.
Yeah.
Even something as simple as washing dishes, we just do it on autopilot, right?
That's a great example.
Yeah.
Asahi is about bringing that same level of awareness to all your movements,
Mm-hmm.
whether you're doing a specific exercise or just going about your day.
I'm starting to understand how Asahi could be so transformative.
Yeah.
It's not just about learning a set of exercises.
Right.
It's about cultivating a whole new way of moving through the world.
That's the beauty of Asahi.
Yeah.
It's about integrating mindfulness and awareness into every aspect of your life, starting with your body.
So we've got these core principles of slow, mindful movement, aligning with the midline, and this fascinating three bows model.
Right.
But before we dive into the specific movements,
Okay.
I'm curious,
Yeah.
what are some of the common misconceptions people have about Asahi?
One of the biggest misconceptions is that it's only for older adults or people who aren't very fit.
Because it's slow and gentle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
People assume that if you're not sweating or pushing your limits, it can't be a real workout.
Right.
But Asahi is about cultivating a different kind of strength and fitness,
Right.
one that comes from deep within.
That inner strength you were talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
It's about developing functional strength, flexibility, and balance that you can use in everyday life.
I imagine that would be beneficial for people of all ages and fitness levels.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Asahi is truly accessible to everyone.
Mm.
It's adaptable to your individual needs and abilities.
So it's not about trying to force your body into some predetermined shape or form.
Not at all.
Okay.
It's about listening to your body, working with it, and finding what feels good.
That's refreshing.
Yeah.
So much of our modern approach to fitness is about pushing ourselves,
Yeah.
striving for some ideal. Asahi seems to be offering a gentler, more compassionate approach.
That's a great observation.
Yeah.
It's about honoring your body and its unique capabilities. It's about finding joy and ease in movement, not pain or struggle.
I'm definitely feeling intrigued by this whole approach.
Yeah.
It seems to be a real paradigm shift in how we think about exercise and well-being.
I think you'll find it's a journey of self-discovery, not just a workout.
Well, I'm ready to embark on that journey.
Okay.
I'm ready to dive deeper, but before we move on, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What were some of the key takeaways you noticed as we went through these movements?
What struck me is how much attention Asahi pays to the subtle details of movement.
Yeah.
It's not just about going through the motions, but about bringing awareness to every sensation, every shift in your body.
That's true. I noticed that even the simplest movements felt different when I slowed down and really paid attention.
Exactly. And that's where the transformative power of Asahi lies.
Right.
It's about cultivating a deeper connection with your body, not just trying to achieve some external goal.
It's about the journey, not the destination.
Precisely. And as you continue to practice, you'll discover new layers of awareness, new ways of moving with ease and grace.
This is making me think about how we often compartmentalize exercise, separating it from our daily lives, but Asahi seems to blur those lines, encouraging us to bring mindfulness to every movement, whether we're doing a specific exercise or just going about our day.
That's a great observation, and that's precisely what makes Asahi so powerful. It's not just a workout, it's a way of life.
It's about bringing awareness to how we move, breathe, and simply exist in the world.
Exactly. And as we cultivate that awareness, we can transform not just our physical well-being, but our mental and emotional state as well.
So we explored the movements of Asahi, but there's a whole other layer to this practice, right? Clemula dives deep into the psychophysical principles behind it.
Yes, and this is where things get really fascinating. He talks about the importance of body alignment, the concept of the body's midline, and how it relates to strength, balance, and overall well-being.
Okay, let's break this down. What exactly is this midline we keep hearing about?
Think of it as an imaginary line that runs vertically through your body, from the crown of your head down to your feet.
I've heard of this in yoga as well.
It's a fundamental concept in many Eastern traditions. Asahi emphasizes finding and maintaining alignment with this midline, both in stillness and in movement.
He uses the example of those Zambian women again, right?
Yes, They effortlessly carry heavy loads on their heads because they've mastered this principle of aligning with their midline, using their skeletal structure for support.
So it's not just about brute strength, but about working with your body's natural design.
Exactly. And by finding this alignment, you can move with greater ease, efficiency, and power.
Klamola talks about three key neutral positions that are essential for establishing good posture and alignment.
He starts with the lower back, emphasizing finding a neutral position where the pelvis isn't tilted too far forward or back.
He provides some helpful exercises for finding this neutral position, using your hands to feel the position of your pelvis.
It's about developing that body awareness, feeling what good alignment actually feels like.
Next, he moves up to the shoulders, talking about finding a neutral position where the shoulders aren't hunched forward or pulled back too tightly.
He stresses the importance of allowing the shoulder blades to rest naturally on the rib cage, creating a sense of openness and relaxation in the chest.
It's a far cry from the tight, hunched shoulders many of us develop from sitting at desks all day.
Exactly. Asahi helps us undo those habitual patterns and find a more natural, balanced posture.
Finally, he addresses the neck and head, introducing the intriguing three wheels model.
This model visualizes the head, neck, and upper back as interconnected wheels, emphasizing the importance of aligning these structures for optimal posture and movement.
He talks about avoiding that forward head posture, which so many of us develop from staring at screens.
It's about lengthening your spine, lifting your head gently upwards, as if you're suspended from a string attached to the crown of your head.
It's amazing how these simple adjustments can make such a big difference in how you feel.
It's all about working with your body's natural design, finding that sweet spot where you can move with the least amount of effort and strain.
So we've talked about the midline and the neutral positions now. How do we actually build this midline and integrate it into our movement?
Kalumala introduces a series of exercises specifically designed to develop midline awareness and strengthen the muscles that support it.
He starts with the building the midline exercises. These seem to involve a lot of visualization and subtle movements.
Yes, he guides you through visualizing your midline as a solid line running through your body, then gently swaying and shifting your weight while maintaining that sense of connection.
He uses imagery like pressing your midline into the ground or hanging from a string attached to your head.
These visualizations help to engage your core muscles and find that sense of effortless uprightness.
Then there are the midline movements, which seem to involve a greater range of motion.
These movements incorporate elements of bending, twisting, and reaching, all while maintaining that awareness of your midline.
He emphasizes moving from your center, feeling the movement flow through your entire body.
It's about integrating the midline into your movement vocabulary, making it a natural part of how you move.
And he even includes some additional exercises for the midline, suggesting that this is an ongoing exploration.
Exactly. Developing midline awareness is a journey, not a destination. It's something you can continue to refine and integrate into your movement practice.
This all ties back to the idea of Asahi not being about achieving some perfect form, but about an ongoing exploration of how we move and experience our bodies.
Absolutely. It's about cultivating a deeper understanding of our own internal landscape, finding that balance between strength, flexibility, and ease.
Like we're relearning how to move, rediscovering our bodies in a new way.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And that process of rediscovery can be incredibly empowering and transformative.
Okay, so we've established this foundation of the midline and neutral positions. Now Kamala takes it a step further, talking about whole body movement, opening and closing.
This is where we start to see how Asahi brings together all those individual elements, alignment, breath, and awareness into a unified, flowing movement experience.
He introduces the three bows model, again, emphasizing how every movement involves the opening and closing of these interconnected bows.
It's a beautiful metaphor for how our bodies are designed to move as an integrated system, not a collection of isolated parts.
He compares it to the rhythmic flow of ocean waves.
Exactly. It's about finding that wave-like quality in your movement, that sense of expansion and contraction that flows through your entire being.
He also introduces the extension-flexion model, which gets a bit more technical, but
It's essentially another way of describing the opening and closing movements, looking at it from the perspective of muscle activation. So when the three bows open and expand, certain muscle groups known as the extension chains are activated. And when the bows close and contract, it's the flexion chains that are engaged.
So the three bows model is more about the visual and experiential aspect, while the extension flexion model provides a more analytical framework.
Exactly. And both models help us understand how Asahi approaches movement as a whole body experience, engaging multiple muscle groups in a coordinated way.
This really challenges the way we typically think about exercise, which often focuses on isolating specific muscles.
Asahi is about finding that integration, that sense of interconnectedness that flows through our entire being.
It's like we're relearning how to move in a more natural, organic way.
That's a great way to put it. It's about tapping into our body's innate wisdom, rediscovering the joy and ease of movement.
We've been talking about the three bows, the midline, opening and closing. It's clear that Asahi is all about approaching movement in a holistic way, but we haven't talked much about breath yet. Where does that fit into the picture?
Breath is absolutely essential to Asahi. Clemola dedicates a whole section of his book to what he calls natural breathing, harmony of movement and breath. He emphasizes the importance of breathing naturally, without forcing or controlling it.
I've heard it said that the breath is the bridge between the body and the mind.
That's a perfect way to put it in Asahi. The breath becomes this unifying force, connecting your physical movements to your mental focus.
It makes me wonder if we've somehow lost touch with our natural breath patterns in our modern world.
Clemola suggests that our breath often becomes shallow and restricted due to stress, poor posture, or even just the way we've been taught to breathe. Asahi encourages us to rediscover that deep, diaphragmatic breathing that nourishes our bodies and calms our minds.
I can definitely relate to that. I often catch myself taking shallow breaths, especially when I'm stressed or working at my desk.
You're not alone. Many of us develop these unconscious breathing habits. But by bringing awareness to our breath, we can begin to shift those patterns and rediscover a more natural way of breathing.
So it's not just about breathing deeply, but about finding that harmony between your breath and your movements.
Precisely. And you'll find that as you practice Asahi, your breath naturally begins to synchronize with your movements. It creates this beautiful flow of energy throughout your body.
I'm starting to see how all these elements of Asahi, the slow movement, the midline, the breath work together to create a truly holistic practice.
That's exactly it. It's about integrating all these aspects of yourself, body, mind, and breath, into a unified experience.
Okay, so we've got the breath. What's the next key principle Klemola dives into?
He goes on to explore the idea of conscious movement and internal control of movement. This is really at the heart of what sets Asahi apart from other forms of exercise.
What does he mean by internal control of movement?
It's about moving with intention, feeling each movement from the inside out. Klemola points out that so much of our daily movement is automatic, driven by unconscious patterns we rush through our days without really paying attention to how we're moving.
I know I'm guilty of that. I'm often on autopilot, just going through the motions.
We all do it. But Asahi invites us to slow down, to become aware of these patterns, and to start moving with conscious control. It's like we're waking up our proprioceptive senses, that inner awareness of where our bodies are in space.
He mentioned that before proprioception, it seems like a really important concept in Asahi.
It is proprioception allows us to move gracefully and coordinate our movements without having to constantly look at what we're doing. It's like having an internal GPS system for your body.
So Asahi is like a workout for our proprioceptive senses, helping us to become more attuned to our bodies.
Exactly. And as we refine this sense, we can move with greater confidence, fluidity, and ease. It's like we're relearning how to move, rediscovering our body's innate intelligence.
I'm starting to understand how powerful this could be. It's not just about exercising our muscles, but about refining our inner awareness, our connection to our bodies.
That's the beauty of Asahi. It's a practice that goes far beyond the physical. It's about cultivating a deeper understanding of ourselves, a more mindful way of being in the world.
Okay, so we've covered conscious movement, internal control, and proprioception. What other aspects of movement quality does Klemola highlight?
He emphasizes 4 key qualities: fluidity, relaxation, active use of mental imagery, and grounding and balance.
Let's start with fluidity. It seems like a recurring theme in Asahi. He mentions the analogy of water a lot.
Water is the perfect metaphor for the kind of fluidity Asahi aims to cultivate. It's about moving with grace, ease, and a sense of effortless flow. Klemola encourages you to visualize yourself moving like water, allowing your movements to be smooth, continuous, and adaptable.
So no jerky or abrupt movements.
Exactly. It's about finding that seamless connection between one movement and the next, like a dancer flowing from one pose to another.
I can see how that would create a sense of harmony and rhythm in the body. What about relaxation? How does that fit into the picture?
Relaxation is essential to Asahi. It's not about forcing or straining, but about finding that sweet spot where your muscles are engaged but not tense. Klemola emphasizes letting go of unnecessary tension, allowing your body to move naturally and efficiently.
It seems like so much of our modern life encourages us to tense up, to hold ourselves rigidly. Asahi seems to be offering an antidote to that.
It's about rediscovering a more relaxed, effortless way of being in your body. It's about finding that sense of ease and spaciousness that allows you to move freely and gracefully.
Now, this idea of using mental imagery in Asahi, that sounds intriguing.
It is, Clamola suggests that we can use our imagination to enhance our movement experience, to create a sense of lightness, expansion, or flow. He offers some beautiful visualizations, like imagining yourself as flowing water, a blossoming flower, or even a graceful animal.
I love that it's like we're tapping into the power of our minds to shape our physical experience.
Exactly, and it's amazing how effective it can be by visualizing ourselves moving with fluidity and ease. We actually begin to embody those qualities in our physical movements.
I'm starting to see how Asahi is as much a mental practice as it is a physical one.
Absolutely. It's about cultivating that mind-body connection, using our imagination to guide our movements and enhance our experience.
And finally, Klamola talks about grounding and balance. These seem like pretty fundamental qualities for any movement practice, but I imagine Asahi has a unique perspective on them.
You're right. Asahi takes it a step further, emphasizing the importance of feeling a sense of connection to the earth. Clamola encourages you to root through your feet, feeling the weight of your body sinking down into the ground, as if you were a tree drawing nourishment from the earth.
I can see how that would create a sense of stability and support.
Exactly. It's about finding that stable base that allows us to move freely without losing our balance. It's about feeling grounded and centered, both physically and mentally.
It's making me think about how often we rush through our days, disconnected from our bodies and from the earth beneath our feet. Asahi seems to be reminding us to slow down, to reconnect with ourselves and with the natural world.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's about cultivating that sense of presence and grounding, of feeling connected to something larger than ourselves.
So we've explored these key qualities of movement, fluidity, relaxation, imagery, and grounding. It's clear that Asahi is a practice that goes far beyond just physical exercise.
Absolutely. It's about cultivating a deeper connection between our bodies and our minds, finding a more harmonious and balanced way of being in the world. It's about approaching every movement with awareness, intention, and grace.
Now, Klamala ends his book with a chapter on Asahi walking and running. This is where things get really practical. It seems like he's saying we can apply these principles to how we move through the world, not just on the exercise mat.
You're exactly right. He suggests that we can bring the principles of Asahi into our everyday activities, transforming how we walk and even how we run.
So it's not just a workout, it's a way of moving through life.
Precisely. He describes Asahi walking as a practice in itself, focusing on posture, alignment, and the flow of movement. He encourages you to keep your knees slightly bent, your feet pointing straight ahead, and your spine long and relaxed.
I imagine that would feel very different from the way most of us walk.
It does. It's about finding that sense of effortless gliding rather than the jarring, forceful movements that often characterize our modern way of walking.
And he even talks about applying these principles to running that sounds revolutionary.
It is. He suggests that by incorporating Asahi principles, we can learn to run with greater ease, efficiency, and even speed. He emphasizes landing on the balls of your feet, keeping your knees slightly bent, and maintaining that sense of fluidity and lightness throughout the movement.
It sounds like a completely different way of approaching running.
It is. It's about finding that sense of effortless flow, that feeling of gliding over the ground rather than pounding on it.
He even suggests that we can learn to run without hitting that dreaded wall.
That's the goal. By moving with greater awareness and efficiency, we can conserve energy and run longer distances without feeling exhausted.
This is making me rethink how I approach walking and running. It's not just about getting from point A to point B, but about experiencing the movement itself, feeling the connection to my body and to the ground beneath my feet.
That's the beauty of Asahi. It transforms everyday activities into mindful practices, into opportunities to cultivate greater awareness, balance, and well-being.
This has been such an inspiring deep dive. I feel like I've gained a whole new understanding of movement and the potential it holds for transformation. What are your final takeaways from this exploration of Asahi?
What really stands out to me is the realization that movement doesn't have to be about pushing, striving, or achieving it. It can be a practice in mindfulness, a way to connect with ourselves and with the world around us. It can be a source of joy, ease, and deep inner strength.
Beautifully said. I'm definitely taking away a renewed sense of curiosity about my own movement patterns, a desire to bring more awareness, fluidity, and relaxation into every step I take.
That's the spirit Asahi invites us to become lifelong students of our own bodies, exploring how we move, breathe, and experience the world in a more conscious and embodied way.
It's about finding that harmony between body, mind, and breath. It's about recognizing that every movement is an opportunity for growth, healing, and transformation.
So as you go about your day, remember to slow down, feel your feet on the ground, and breathe deeply. You might be surprised at what you discover.